Shalom, Israel. Just a second, real quick. Let me find some Salakia. There we go. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Okay, cool. Making sure we're on YouTube. All right. All right. Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakathum to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Thumb Bashem Yahushua to the sisters. This is a Tuesday Brotherhood classroom, and we're going to be going over the 12 tribe chart. First, first I want to just say, when you are pretty much brought up into, the Christian churches, the Catholic churches, all that, you really don't know who the 12 tribes are. You don't know who you know who Jacob is, but you don't know who Jacob's sons are, or what their purpose is, or what comes after that. Like you just go through certain situations with no knowledge of anything of the Bible. So here in ISUPK, we go through the knowledge of the Bible. So we're gonna go through the, how can I say, we're gonna for us, because this is a cultural thing. We're gonna go through, how can I say, like how Egyptologist would say that, Ra and all those, King Tut and all those people, that's their pioneers. Like, we're gonna go through our pioneers. We're gonna go through the people who's the ones who started this whole thing up. But we're gonna today is just gonna be with Judah. It wouldn't be enough time to go through all 12 tribes right now, but we're gonna go through Judah. And this is our lineage right here. This is, if you are a so-called Negro, so-called African American, so-called Black, so-called, all that stuff. Like, if you are a Negro in America, you are from the tribe of Judah. That's your real nationality. We're all Israelites, but you're from the tribe of Judah. So we're gonna go through first who Judah is, the start off of Judah, and then we're gonna go through gonna say the prophecies of Judah, if I may. Um hopefully in another class I can go through the rest of the tribes, but right now we're just gonna go through Judah, because Judah got a long strand of information that we can go through as far as the Bible. And that's what we do here. We actually go through the Bible. We're not sitting over here just speaking a whole bunch of nonsense about you know what I mean, things that are going on in people's lives and how they can make it better. And, you know what I mean, as far as having faith and believing in this white Christ, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're gonna actually go through this book and we're gonna show you, you know what I mean, who salvation's for and how it began. Okay. So I'm gonna go through that right now. We can do a start off. Let's see. How can we start this off? First, we can start this off with, okay, who's Jake? Who is Judah's father, which is Jacob? I mean, I already brought that up earlier, but Jacob is Judah's father. Okay, so Jacob is the start off of the 12 tribes. You know what I mean? And this is the thing: if you are not a part of the 12 tribes, you are not receiving salvation. Point blank. Period. Salvation is only for the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes. So we can get into, I mean, the start off of Jacob, because as far as our nationality, which is Israelites, we can get off on where the name Israel came from. You know what I mean? And it started with Jacob. So if we can go to Genesis 32 and 24. Let me get there. Genesis 32 and 24. This is when, I mean, Jacob has a vision and he's wrestling an angel. You know what I mean? The angel gives him a blessing and gives him a name. So we're going to go into that right now. So, okay. So we got Genesis 32 and 24. The book of Genesis, chapter 32, 30, Salaki. What is it? Yeah, it's 32 and 24, Salaki. On the wrong page. The book of Genesis, chapter 32 and 24. All right. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. So Jacob's having a vision. He's wrestling with a man, which is the man being an angel, right? Verse 25. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint. So he pushed Jacob's leg out of place. You know what I mean? So as he wrestled with him, and he said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." And he said, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." And he said unto him, "What is thy name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." So this is Jacob having a vision of wrestling a angel, and, you know what I mean, asking the angel for a blessing, and the angel changed his name to Israel. You know what I mean? And when you get into this school, you know what I mean, you shed yourself and you get your name changed. So I think it's another scripture of Jacob getting his name changed. It's Genesis 35 and 9. We just get through that real quick. This is the Lord changing Jacob's name also. So Genesis 35 and 9. And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padan Aram and blessed him. He came out, so like it. Verse 10. And God said unto him, "Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name." And he called his name Israel. So Jacob's name is being changed to Israel. So, you know what I mean? Hence, you know what I mean, why we are Israelites. So Jacob's name being changed, you know what I mean? He's the father of the 12 tribes. We are Israelites, you know what I mean? And what tribe you're from is dependent on what your nationality is or what your bloodline is. And if you are a Negro in America, or, you know what I mean, we're spread out across the world, but, you know what I mean, but as far as the majority, if you are a Negro in America, you are from the tribe of Judah. Okay. So Jacob's name was changed to Israel. I mean, this is the start off of, I mean, him being called Israel, the land being called Israel, us being Israelites, and us going from there. Now we're going to get to his sons, which is, I mean, okay. So right now we can go to his sons, and we have who the father of the 12 tribes is. Now let's get to the mothers. Okay. So before I get to the mothers, I'm gonna read off who the mothers are of the 12 tribes. And you know what I mean, if anybody's tuned in, if you you know what I mean, if you know what son Judah is, whether if he's the first son, the last son, the second son, the third son, you know what I mean, if you know what position he's in, then you know what I mean, put that in the chat. That way we get some, you know what I mean, some dialogue going. So, you know what I mean, okay, so we have Jacob's first wife was Leah. Okay. Now, I mean, we have classes that go into the background of how Jacob met Leah, how Jacob met pretty much all of his wives, but I mean, Leah was his first wife, and I mean, Jacob was really going for Rachel. He was going for Rachel at first, but I mean, right, but their father, they wanted the oldest to be married first. So he set him up with Leah, and Leah was not favored to Jacob. Leah was not favored because he was working 7 years for Rachel. Okay. So when he got Leah, he's just like, you know what I mean? What is this? I worked 7 years for Rachel. I didn't work 7 years for Leah. So she was not favored amongst his wives. She had to do a lot of things to you know what I mean, get his attention. But Jacob's whole focus was on Rachel and Rachel alone. And you know what I mean, the most high he had to make Rachel barren and open Leah's womb so that Leah was having majority of Jacob's children, because Jacob wasn't treating Leah right. He was treating Rachel as the favored wife, but he had two wives. He laid with Leah, so he had to, you know what I mean, take in within his responsibility of being with Leah. So he was not taking in that responsibility. He was trying to neglect her, but the Lord opened up her womb and closed Rachel's womb, so that, you know what I mean, he had no choice but to give his attention to Leah. So if we go to Leah's sons, Leah had Reuben, she had Simeon, she had Levi, she had Judah, she had Issachar, and she had Zebulun. Okay. If you go into Rachel's sons, Rachel had Joseph and Benjamin, because the Lord ended up opening Rachel's womb after a while and allowing her to, you know what I mean, to have children. So she had Joseph at first, and then she had Benjamin. And then you had their handmaidens. Their handmaidens, um, there was one, they had one each, and both of them, they bared kids for Jacob. You know what I mean? So Jacob had with Bala. Bala was a handmaid, and she had Dan and Naphtali. And then you had Zilpah. Zilpah had Gad and Asher. Okay. So these are the mothers of the 12 tribes. Okay. So if you want to, you know what I mean, take notes on that, and so you know exactly who was the mother of who, and you know what I mean, Jacob was the father of all of them. So now we get into, okay, so Leah had Judah. Judah was the, I don't see it in the chat, so I'm just gonna say it. Judah was the fourth son. Okay. So Judah, we're gonna get into Judah and Judah's, how can I say, his lineage and his history. But as far as what's going on with this is these are, okay, yeah, Judah's the fourth. Judah's the fourth. So yeah, we can just get into Judah's line. Okay. So Judah being the fourth son, Judah is the Negroes in America, or I mean, spread all around, but majority Negroes in America. I'm trying to run through all this, like, so that we, if you are taking notes, that we can, I mean, set this pinpoint by pinpoint. So let's see, what we got next. Okay, so we're gonna go to Genesis 38, and we're gonna talk about Judah for a minute. Okay, so Judah was, Judah has some issues, but we get to when Judah's older, as far as like everything that was going on when they were younger men. Like I can get into that when I speak about, Joseph, but for now we're just gonna go straight to Judah. And this is like this is the characteristics of Judah, if I can say. Like we Judah does have a lot of issues, but Judah's strong, but Judah does have a lot of issues. Has a lot of issues. So we're gonna get into that um as far as Judah and his okay. So it was what, Genesis 38, as far as Judah and his lineage, is how his lineage started off and how it goes from there. Okay. So this is Genesis 38 and 1. Okay. And it says, and it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned in to a certain a Dolomite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her, and she conceived and bare a son. So this is Judah's first son. And he called his name and she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And this is Judah's second son. Okay. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And this is Judah's third son. And he was at Chezeb when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. Okay, so Judah found a wife for his first son, and her name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. So Judah lost his first son, the one that he promised to Tamar. Verse 8. And Judah said unto Onan, Go into thy brother's wife. So okay, so Judah went to his second son and told him to go into Tamar, which was his son's first wife. But his son was wicked, and the Lord slew him. Okay. Go in unto thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. Verse 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. Salaki. Just a second. Oh no, you got. Damn fly. All right, Salaki. All right, back to it. Okay, so where do we leave off? I'll go back at verse 8. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass when he went into unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. So Onan was having issues, thinking like, okay, I mean, if this is, I mean, because it's a custom of us, I mean, and regeneration. I mean, regeneration, his brother died. The only way that he could be regenerated is going through his bloodline. You know what I'm saying? So his brother needed to be able to, I mean, lay with his wife, which is a Israelite custom. You have to, like, he had to go on unto his wife, have a child in order to keep the lineage going of his brother. You know what I mean? So what he did was he thinking like, okay, well, this ain't about to be my lineage. I'm not about to, I'm not about to just, just go on to my brother's wife and just keep his stuff going. Like, you know what I mean? So what he did was he went into her, and then he spilled his seed. Like, he pulled out. Like, he didn't he was supposed to impregnate her, and he made it so that that wouldn't happen. Okay? So, that was wicked in the sight of the Lord, because it wasn't brotherly. You know what I mean? It wasn't brotherly at all, because he was supposed to be looking out for his brother who was passed on. You know what I mean? He was supposed to keep his lineage going, because that's our custom. You know what I mean? He didn't have, his brother didn't have a child when he left this earth. So it was his brother's job to make sure that his lineage kept going. But what he did was he pulled out, and he didn't try to impregnate her. And so, that was wicked. That was wicked. That was unbrotherly, and it was wicked. So, let's see. And raised up seed to thy brother. Slakia. Let me see where I left off at. Okay. When he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. Okay. So he didn't want to keep that lineage going. Verse 10. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. So he had to die also, because, he disobeyed. He disobeyed, and he was supposed to. He wasn't. That just shows, like, that characteristic already about, how unbrotherly we could be sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see us out here in these streets already, like, it's brothers that we don't trust nobody for nothing. We don't trust anybody with $1. We'll sit over here and hound somebody over for $5. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just real unbrotherly. Like, we have that bad characteristic up in us. You know what I mean? And you see it in Onan. Like, Onan did not want to keep his brother's lineage. He didn't care. He was worried about himself. And you can see a lot of selfishness in Judah also. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just worried about us. That's it. Like, how many movies you see with just, a brother, killing his best friend for something. You know what I mean? Like, like, it's of course it's a movie, but these things happen in real life. You know what I'm saying? These things happen in our time right now. Like, we can become very, very unbrotherly. You know what I mean? And very selfish. And that's something that is a part of our characteristic. So you see it in Onan. Onan didn't want to lay with his brother's wife in order to keep his legacy going. He was worried about his own legacy. He was just like, "This is not going to be mine. I want to have mine." So what happens? He pulls out, and he displeased the Lord, so the Lord had to slay him. You know what I mean? Or the Lord slew him because he was displeased. So let's see. It's on verse 10. It says, wherefore he slew him also. Okay, so the Lord killed Onan. That's two of Judah's sons dead. His two oldest sons dead. Okay, he has one more. He has three sons. So verse 11. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah, my son, be grown. For he said, lest preadventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time of it's like it. In process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up unto his what is it, sheep shears to Timnath. He and his friend Hera, the Adulamite, and it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. So, okay, so Judah promised his third son, which was too young already. He was too young to have children with Tamar, but he promised her that she could have his youngest son, just to keep the lineage going. Okay, so Judah lost his wife, and I mean we're going from there. So on verse 13, I'm gonna start at 13, and it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father in law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep, and she put her widow's garment off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. So he was already grown already, and like it. Shelah, which was Judah's third son, was already grown, but he still wasn't given to Tamar like Judah had promised. Okay, so she went up to go see Judah. Salakia. Okay, and she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was in daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? Okay, so Tamar, she dressed herself like an harlot. She covered her face, which was a custom of harlots at that time period, and she went out on purpose to how can I say, to attract Judah. But Judah obviously was attracted to harlots. You know what I'm saying? He was obviously attracted to harlots, so that's why she dressed herself in harlot's clothing in order to attract Judah. Okay, so verse 17. And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. So she pretty much 42 faked him. You know what I mean, acted as if she was a harlot. And when he asked her, I mean, what do you want me to give you in order to come into you? Like, she asked for these particular things, and it was a reason for that. You know what I mean? We're gonna get into that in a minute, but it was a reason why she asked for these particular things, his staff and things like that. Like, she asked for these particular things because she knew something. But she did this in order for her to be able to conceive and have a child and keep her lineage or her husband's lineage that passed going. Okay. So it says in verse 19, and she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend and the Adulamite to receive his pledge and from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the man of that place, saying, where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And so he's looking for her again. And they said, there was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the man of this place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. So like, let me just find out. Let me skip down a little bit. Okay, I'll just keep going through it. I'm almost there. I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter in law, hath played the harlot. And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth and let her be burnt. So this whole situation, I mean, they found out that Tamar is pregnant, and Judah thinks that, okay, well, she's out here whoring herself. She's out here being a hoe because I promised her my son. I mean, I didn't give it to her yet, but I promised her my son, and now she's pregnant. So she's out here just, creeping and sleeping with whoever right now. So he's going to, attempt to kill her pretty much because he feels like, she's out here just hoeing it up. Okay, so Judah said, bring her forth and let her be burnt. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, discern, I pray thee, whose are these? The signet and bracelets and staff. And Judah acknowledged them and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah, my son, and he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travail, that behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. So she ended up having twins by Judah. If I can go back. Okay, so she dressed as a harlot to lure in Judah to, lay with her. She wanted to keep the lineage going, and she had to keep the lineage going somehow. So she went for Judah instead of going for Shelah, because Shelah, he didn't give Shelah to her. So she went and pretty much 42 faked Judah, got pregnant, and when she was having twins, he thought that she was out creeping, but then she had to give the things that he gave her, the staff and everything like that. She had to give the things that he gave her to show, like, I played a harlot, but I wasn't a harlot. What I was doing was, it was a plan to be able to conceive within the generation. So Judah is looking at her like, dang, like she's more righteous than me, because I promised her something and I didn't give it to her. But she did what she could in order to keep his first son's lineage, to keep it going. You know what I mean? So she had twins. Judah never, slept with her again, but she ended up conceiving and having twins and keeping that lineage going. So That's the lineage of how Judah's lineage keeps going, and then you know what I mean, you have the kids that came after that. So I mean, I could get I'm not about to get into all that, but so that's getting into the man Judah. I mean, as far as like what happened, as far as how his lineage kept going. So now we can get into when Judah is actually becoming a nation. So what do we know about Judah? What do we know about Judah? We know that Judah is the Negroes, you know what I mean, and the so-called Negroes, the so-called African Americans, the so-called, you know what I mean, just you know what I mean, that's what Judah is. But I mean, as far as the nation, what do we know about Judah? Let's see. I mean, what we know about Judah is that, you know what I mean, obviously Christ was from the tribe of Judah. Christ is from the, I mean, we got a lot of pioneers that's from the tribe of Judah. Christ is from the tribe of Judah. King David was from the tribe of Judah. King Solomon. You know what I mean, shoot, who else? Slovakia. But we got a lot of pioneers from the tribe of Judah. So um let's see. Let me see. Let me check these notes real quick. Okay, so we got Genesis 38 and 1. Let's get into Genesis 49 and 12. So, okay, so there's a situation that happens. Okay, so Judah gets a blessing from Jacob, right? Now now the blessing usually starts off from the oldest and moves down. So the oldest gets the blessing, and then you know what I mean, they move down from there. But there was certain situations that had happened where, you know what I mean, okay, so Reuben slept with what was it? Reuben slept with Bala, you know what I mean, Jacob's handmaid or Jacob's wife, and so the he couldn't get the blessing from Jacob. And also you had Simeon and Levi um who were before Judah. They slew a city of men because of them raping their sister. You know what I mean, they slew a city of men, but Jacob said they did it out of anger. They did it out of anger, and they did it in a time period where he wasn't prepared to be able to defend at that time period. So because they did that, um Simeon and Levi didn't get the blessing. So we're going to get into why Judah gets the blessing. So that's pretty much the reason why Judah gets the blessing. But we'll read it right now, okay? And that's Genesis 38. No, Salakia. Genesis 49 and 12. 49 and 12. So this is a blessing that Jacob gives to his sons. Salakia. So Genesis 49 and 12. Um, and it says, his eyes shall be red with wine. Salakia. Wait a minute. I think I'm on the wrong. Run, Judah. Oh no, that's Genesis 49 and 12. Oh yeah, I'm on it. Salakia. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Zebulon shall dwell. Salakia. Okay. Okay, so it's Salakia. It's Genesis 49. I'm gonna start at verse 8. You know what? I'll start at verse. I'll start at Genesis verse 49 and 7. Okay. And it says, cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So this is Simeon and Levi being skipped because what they did to that city of men who with for their sister. Okay. So in verse 8, this is Judah getting the blessing from Jacob. And it says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion, whelp. Slakia. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rose him up. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be, binding his fowl unto the vine, and his ass's colt unto the choice vine. He washed his garment in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. So, I mean, this is what's going. Shalom on Christ. So, we're getting into Jacob. You know what I mean, getting the blessing from his father. You know what I mean, and the blessing is like pretty much into the prophecy of the bloodline the of them speaking of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like them, that he's saying that Christ is going to come through Judah's bloodline, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Because you get into that when you get into what he's saying as far as what is it? The Slovakia. Damn, did I just lose my spot again? Slovakia. Yeah, but when the blood of grapes. Okay, when you get into verse 11, that's where it's at. Okay, so and it says, his eyes shall be red with wine. Verse 12, his eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. And then it goes into Zebulon in verse 13. So that's Jacob giving Judah the blessing. I mean, he had to skip down from Reuben, Simeon, and Levi because of what they did. I mean, we can get into that into the next the next 12 tribe, but as far as Judah, that's him getting the blessing in verse, what does it start with? It started at verse 8, verse 8. So Genesis 49 and verse 8. Now we're going to move along. So that prophecy was made, and we're going to get into the prophecies of Judah. Okay. Now let's get into Judah as a nation. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, okay, we won't get into, we'll get into the curses. Okay. We'll get into the curses of Judah as a nation. Now, as we know, like, you know what I mean, King David started off, well, it was King Saul that started it off, but started off the kingdom of Israel, but King David was like, you know what I mean, he was the main source of the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah. So King David being from, you know what I mean, the tribe of Judah, he was pretty much, you know what I mean, I would say one of the most famous people in the tribe of Judah. You know what I mean? One of the most famous, other than, you know what I mean, Christ himself, but he was one of the most famous. And so what we have in that situation was Judah and Israel were split as far as nations. You know what I mean? So Israel kept defying and kept on idol worshiping, and they were cut off from the Most High. And Judah eventually followed along with them and ended up getting cut off also. So we can get into the curses of what happened when they were being cut off, like from the Most High, because they were being disobedient. Now, Israel got cut off. Israel was cut off because they kept, you know what I mean, serving other gods. They kept sleeping with heathens. They kept, you know what I mean, building temples and shrines, and they were being very disobedient. So they were cut off. And then you have Judah. You know what I mean? Judah was the only one that was left in the promise, and then Judah followed right along with him, followed right along with them, started serving other gods and started doing customs, the same things we do today. You know what I mean? Like if you look at the time period right now, we got the holiday season. The holiday season, this is you know what I mean, you see a lot of our people out here celebrating Halloween like it's like going broke to buy costumes. You know what I'm saying? Going broke to go out and go to parties and going out and celebrating and stuff like that. You see that right now. Like our people, we take America's holidays as serious as possible to the point where, you know what I mean, America thrives off this. They literally put these on particular days of the year because they know that they're going to make a profit because we serve it so hard. Like we disobey the Most High. Like if you didn't know that the holidays that we serve in this nation are wicked and are evil. And they all have a background of either destroying us or destroying themselves and living as heathens do. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we love to serve these things. We love to put on our costumes and take our kids out and go trick or treating. We love to, you know what I mean, go out to Thanksgiving dinners and go kick it with the family and stuff like that. And we put all of our efforts and our swag into it. You know what I mean? And the Lord hates it. The Lord hates it so much that He destroyed us and He cut us off for doing these particular things. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, this is a thing that we are accustomed to. We've been doing this for decades, for centuries. You know what I mean? And we keep on displeasing the Most High. And I mean, hopefully, this is the last season of holidays that we displease the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Because it's getting to a point where, you know what I mean, America is just they're looking forward to these holidays. They're looking forward to these holidays because they've been so destroyed and they've been so deteriorated throughout these last few years of you know what I mean, the Most High judging this place. Like they need these holidays in order to even be able to thrive for another year. But you know what I mean, it's going to be us that sits over here and we're going to give our money to them. It's going to be our people. We give our money to them. We're going to give you know what I mean? We're going to give all our efforts of, you know what I mean, building their nation back up and celebrating these things that have absolutely nothing to do with us and have no purpose and have no meaning. It's just we want to go out and we want to get turned up. Like, you know what I mean, you see grown-ups celebrating Halloween year round. You know what I'm saying? They celebrate Halloween all 4 weeks on the weekend. You know what I mean? Costume parties, all that stuff. You know what I mean? All that stuff. They we the grown-ups go the hardest. You know what I mean? They give those kids that one day, but the grown-ups they go the hardest. They throw the parties, they do all the turn ups and all that stuff like that. You know what I mean? The Most High hates that. The Most High hates that, and He is very, very displeased with that because you're giving tribute to a heathen nation because they know what they're celebrating. They know exactly what they're celebrating, and we don't even know what we're celebrating. We're just doing it just because it seems like it's the norm. But we were doing it at that time period too. We were giving acknowledgement to different gods, heathen gods that have absolutely nothing to do with us. And not just that, we're enslaving us. You know what I mean? We're enslaving us and putting us through poverty. You know what I mean? We were still going out of our way to please those nations the same way that we do today. What's going on? Shalom, Lord Christ. Uh, uh, yeah, shalom, Lord Christ, Ottawa. But yeah, like yeah, we were going out of our way to serve these idols, and it got so bad to the point where the Most High had to cut us off because we had a kingdom. We had a kingdom, and we just kept disobeying. We kept disobeying. So this is Salakia. This is this is Judah getting cut off. I mean, it's a little bit of Israel also, but this is Judah getting cut off majority. So it's going to be in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3 and verse 7. And this is the curses that's going to come upon Israel and Judah. Okay. So Jeremiah 3 and verse 7. Let me get there with you. Okay. So we're gonna get into what happened to Judah. Like, okay. This is the Most High explaining exactly what's going on with Judah and what's going on with Israel. So Judah, Judah seen that Israel was disobedient to the Most High, Israel being the 10 tribes of Israel. The 10, you had the 10 tribes, and then you had, then you had Judah. So at that time period, we were separate. So Israel's getting cut off. And then Judah, seeing that Israel got cut off from the covenant of the Lord, turns around and does the same thing that Israel was doing. Okay. So let's get into it. Jeremiah 3:7. And I said after she had done all these things, turn thou unto me. But she returned not, and her treacherous sister Judah saw it. So this is the Most High explaining, what's going on with Israel. Israel did not want to turn back to the Most High, and Judah saw what happened. Judah saw Israel not doing a whole bunch of wickedness, not serving the Most High, and then what happens to them? They get cut off. Judah saw it. Okay, verse 8. And I saw when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Oh, the Lord cut off Israel because they were not listening. They were not trying to serve him. Okay. So he said, I'm giving her a bill of divorce. This is metaphorical. He's just saying that he cut them off because the Lord is pretty much saying that he's married unto us. He's married unto Israel. He's married unto Judah. But because Israel was being so wicked and so foul, compared it to a adulteress. She was sleeping with other gods, pretty much. She like in a metaphorical type of way. She was laying with other gods. She was dealing with Baal and all these different things. Like, So the Lord's saying that he created a bill of divorce as a metaphor, though. And it says, yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not. So Judah Judah seen what happened, and Judah still turned around and did the same thing that Israel did. But went and played the harlot also, when it sat there and went to go lay with other gods. And it came to pass through the likeness of her whoredom that she defiled the land and committed adultery with the stones and with stocks. So this is, Judah doing the same thing, turning around, serving other gods. And yet, for all this, her treacherous sister, her treacherous sister Judah hath not turned unto me with her whole heart, but frankly, saith the Lord. So Judah did, okay, we already pretty much got into it. Like Judah did the same thing, turned away from the Lord, and now the Lord is about to cut off Judah. Verse and so the Lord cuts off Judah for doing the same thing that Israel did. Israel was serving other gods, building, statutes and pretty much what Israel always pretty much falls into anyways. Like we do it all the time. We do it today. We sit over here and we have big old posters of Caesar Borgia in our churches, and well, in their churches now, but in their churches they have Caesar Borgia, and in their Catholic churches they got Caesar Borgia and his sister, who they try to define as Mary. And we always tend to want to be deceived and follow different idols and follow different things that have absolutely nothing to do with the Most High, only because it makes us feel good at the moment. And the Lord has to cut us off for those things because it's not him. It's you're serving the wrong God. God is not here to make you want to feel good and make you want to feel like, okay, I can just do whatever I want, and at the end of the day, he's going to forgive me because all I got to do is just believe that he existed, and he's going to be right there for me. God, regardless of what I do, he's going to I can sit over here and I can molest this child, and I can smoke this crack. I can sell this dope to this brother, and I can kill this brother even. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, God's going to forgive me because, you know what I mean, that's the God I serve. But that is a false idol. You're not serving the real God in the Bible. You're serving what people taught you. And what people taught you was those are not that's not the most high. Those are false idols. You know what I mean? So we fall into it even to this day. You see it on to this day right now. I mean, even through all this madness that's going on right now, people still don't want to tend to the most high. They still want to keep on playing with God like he's just like he's not really about that life. You know what I mean? God, like they've made God into a punk, pretty much. The false idolatry is made God into a punk. They sat there and made him so. You know what I mean? Just think of a husband that's with his wife, and his wife is a whore, and she's sleeping with all types of men. She comes home, she yells at him, she abuses him, she makes him cook and clean for him, and she's just like, you know what I mean? Like you're worthless, and she verbally abuses him, and at the end of the day, he still loves her and he still stays with her. You know what I mean? This is what this, and he still forgives her for everything she's done. This is what they made God into. You know what I mean? These false idolatries, that's what they made God into. They made him into a weak vessel. You know what I mean? They you can sit over here and you can do whatever you want. You can, like, God already compared you celebrating false false idols into you being an adulteress, or being a whore, being a whore. Like, if like he's saying that he's married unto us, and us serving other gods is us sleeping with other gods, metaphorically. You know what I mean? If you've ever been in relationships with somebody, and if you've ever been cheated on, and if you ever felt that pain before, you already know, like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, like, that's some serious stuff right there. You know what I mean? But they try to make God into this vessel that could be cheated on, could be verbally abused, could like a wife that can do whatever she wants, everything that she wants, and doesn't respect her husband at all. But at the end of the day, she can always just turn back to him and say, you know what I mean, do you forgive me? And he's always going to say, yes, I forgive you. This is what they turn God into. And this is how they've destroyed us. You know what I mean? Because now we feel like we can do anything. Shalom, sis, what's going on? I mean, we feel like we can do anything. Like, we can go out and we can molest children. We can go out and we can kill people. We can go out and we can sell crack. We can go out and smoke weed. We can go out and do any drug in this world. We can live as wretchedly and as wretched as possible, and we can still, you know what I mean, go on to this weak man that's going to forgive us regardless. That's not the Most High. The Most High is going to judge you until you repent. You know what I mean, he's merciful, most definitely. He's merciful, but it's going to be a situation where you over here messing up. You know what I mean? It's a father and child relationship. You out here messing up, okay, fine. You go out there and you go be amongst them people that you want to mess up with. And if you want to be amongst them people, go ahead and be amongst them people. I'm gonna let you. And what happened to us? We got destroyed by being amongst them, and we got punished by being amongst heathens, because heathens treated us the way that heathens are going to treat God's chosen people. They're going to treat them like it. They going to treat them like crap. You know what I mean? And we went out and we played. We still love them regardless of how bad we were being treated, just like a whore, being out there in the streets, dealing with her side dude. You know what I mean? She out there with her side dude. Her side dude treat her like crap, and she still feel like she got that man at home that she can always fall onto. You know what I'm saying? That's the way that these heathens have made us treat the Most High. That's the way that they indoctrinated the Most High. You know what I'm saying? It all makes sense once you start to really think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody really thinks about, okay, all these different doctrines that they put upon how we live our lives on a day to day. The Bible, you know that you're not living righteously when you're in the Christian church. You know it. But and yet you feel like, okay, I can just keep going back on Sunday and just asking for forgiveness and I'm gonna be forgiven. Just think about a marriage. You know what I mean? The Lord is putting that out there in these scriptures. Just think about a marriage. You sitting over here, you love somebody, you love your wife, she goes out every week, you know what I mean, from Monday to Saturday, and she's out every night looking for some dude to sit there and, you know what I mean, to lay with every night. And she's out, she's coming back home 6 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean, hair all messed up, drawers, you don't know where they went, you know what I'm saying? And she's just, you know what I mean, coming into bed, laid up with you, you know what I'm saying? She gets up, she does the same thing the next night. 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 And then she does the same thing the next night. And then Sunday, she comes to you and she's just there for you. Let's barbecue. Let's have a good time. Let's love each other and let's have a good time and with each other. And we gonna treat each other like we're actually in a marriage. We're gonna treat each other like we're actually in a marriage and we actually love each other. This is what Christianity and this is what Catholic churches have taught us. You know what I'm saying? That's how we should treat the Most High. You know what I'm saying? That's how we should treat the Most High. And it really doesn't break down like that until you actually define it like that. You know what I mean? The Lord is defining our relationship with him as a marriage. You know what I'm saying? He had to put a bill of divorce to Israel because they kept sleeping around with different idols. Then, not just that, you know what I mean? Judah had turned around and did the same thing, even though they saw what happened to Israel. Israel got cut off. And Judah had to get cut off also. You know what I mean? So that's what happens. And now we're going to get into, you know what I mean, the Lord's mercy. So we can go into Jeremiah 3:11 now. And this is the Lord's mercy because at the end of the day, as the situation that I just explained, as far as how a marriage goes, and if that's your wife and she's sleeping with dudes 6 days out the week and only 1 day out the week, she comes to you and she wants to be everything to you that 1 day, and then she goes back into those 6 days and starts sleeping with men again, you wouldn't like that situation, right? You would actually leave that situation. You would leave. Not only would you leave that situation, you would never forgive that person because you know what to expect from them. You know what I mean? But this is how much the Lord loves us, because we played the harlot. You know what I mean? We played the harlot, and not just that, the Lord turned around and he's still giving us a shot for forgiveness. After all that, after everything that he was going through, as far as his chosen people choosing different idols over him, he still gave us a lead way into, you know what I'm saying, finding him and serving him wholeheartedly. Okay, so this is what is to come as far as the Lord's mercy. You know what I'm saying? I know we're talking about Judah and we're talking about Judah right now, but this is the prophecy that is coming upon Judah and Israel as far as what is to come for them. You know what I'm saying? So this is Jeremiah 3:11. And the Lord said unto me, the backsliding Israel had justified herself more than treacherous Judah. Go and proclaim these words towards the north, and say, return, thou backsliding Israel, saith the Lord, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith the Lord. Now you just got to understand, like, after all this that the Lord gave us, like, this is after the days of Egypt. This is after the days of him giving us a kingdom. We still disobeying. We still serving other gods. Everything, like, he's given us everything. He's given us the salvation already at that time period of getting out of captivity. All those things, like, you know what I mean, showing us wonders and everything. And we still found our way into the bed of different idols. And he still said that I am merciful and I will give you a chance to be able to be, you know what I mean, to come back with me. Now, of course, we had to face judgment. You know what I mean? We had to go through some judgment, but at the end of the day, there was still a chance for us to work our way back. And that's the chance that we have today. And that's the grace that we have today. And we have to take advantage of the grace period that we have today. We have to stop making excuses of why we don't want to serve the Lord. You know what I mean? Regardless of how hard our times seem and how bad things seem at the time period, you got to keep finding your way to the Most High, because at the end of the day, we pretty much just spit on the name of the Lord. You know what I mean? If I can put it in metaphorical terms, like we spit on the name of the Most High. And this is a living power. This is a living God. This is the God that created the heavens and the earth. You know what I'm saying? This is a God that created the heavens and the earth. And he was working with a particular people who were so stubborn that they decided that, oh yeah, these fake gods are better. But we don't get into it. You know what I mean? We would sit over here and we would serve imaginary gods other than serve a power that actually showed us exactly what he's capable of doing for us. He's actually able to make us kings. You know what I'm saying? He's actually able to give us kingdoms, but we still turned away and we felt like the heathen life was better. So I'm gonna keep going. So the Lord is already prophesying, you know what I mean, mercy on us already. After he showed us what our judgment was going to be, he's already prophesying mercy. He loves us. You know what I mean? He loves us. And if you really love somebody, you know what I mean, I'm not going to say regardless of whatever they do, you're going to forgive them, but you know what I mean, the Most High is more than us. He's more than us. So he's like, we did a lot. We did a lot, and we don't deserve mercy. You know what I mean? At all. We don't deserve to sit there and just complain and say, oh yeah, well, can I just get this? Like, we don't deserve none of that. We don't deserve anything, but we still were being able to give mercy. And even though that we should have been dead plenty of times, because we wanted to keep going in that same bed of them idols. We wanted to keep creeping into those beds of those idols. You know what I mean? We should have been destroyed already, but the Lord was giving us mercy. So let's keep getting into it. And Lord saying, for I am merciful, saith the Lord, and I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against the Lord thy God. Now you got to understand, or you probably will never understand, how much love you got to have to be able to, even in your anger, in the midst of your own anger, you still are given a leadway of mercy. Like, we don't do that. People don't do that. When we're angry, we're angry. We want to, if we have a strong hatred and anger towards somebody, we want them dead. If I mean, so to speak. I mean, but the Lord, even within the midst of his anger, he still gave us a leadway out of, you know what I mean, what we was going to have to go through. Okay. So, and has scattered thy ways to the strangers and under every green tree, and ye have not obeyed my voice, saith the Lord. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord. That's Israel. For I am married unto you, and I will take you on, and I will take you one of a city, and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And it shall come to pass, when ye be multiplied and increased in the land. Okay, so we gotta think about it as this is that time right now. You know what I mean? The Lord's people are coming into this organization. You know what I'm saying? We are multiplying here in the ISUPK. You know what I'm saying? People are going to different fake Israelites and seeing the wickedness that's within it. You know what I'm saying? And they're starting to see that these organizations are nothing for me. They have nothing for me. They have no spiritual food for me. This is just fast food. Like, you know what I mean? It's knowledgeable, but what's the outcome of it? You know what I mean? I need nutrition. Like, you're not gonna get nutrition through fast food. They're speaking on a whole bunch of stuff that we originated, but they're trying to just fly through it as if it's something that they created. And they don't have the power of the Most High. So they're just speaking on what we do on a day-to-day basis. Not even that, what we live on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? If a lot of them had to deal with our day-to-day life, they would probably be on the streets selling crack again if they could. I mean, but they don't have to go through the trials that we have to go through, because within our trials we find lessons. You know what I'm saying? We find lessons on how to be able to edify our people a lot better. We find lessons on how to be able to live more righteously and be an example to our people. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that. All they can do is just keep talking about what we do. That's it. And that's all they're gonna keep doing. They're just gonna keep talking. But it's fast food, it's fast food knowledge. And what we giving that real nutrition. You know what I'm saying? And we live it every day. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep going. So yeah, we should look at it like that. Like we are multiplying within this organization, and it's going to be soon to the point where everything will be exposed on fake Israelite groups, Christian churches, Christianity in general. You know what I mean? Catholic churches, Islam, a lot of things are going to be exposed, and you're going to see who the true body of the Lord is. So it's our job to stay diligent and to keep setting that example that we are the true knowledge of what the Lord wants us to bring to our people. You know what I'm saying? We are the body that Christ said in this book. You know what I'm saying? Because it's only one body. You can't be separated. You can't just want to keep teaching your own thing. You're going to have to eventually step into this body. And if you keep ignoring it, if you keep ignoring your calling, then you know what I mean, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed no different than the people who just keep creeping in the beds of all these idols. So let's keep going. Increased in the land. So like it. When ye be multiplied and increased in the land, which is happening now. In those days, saith the Lord, they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of the Lord, neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall they be done in any so like it done anymore. So you got to understand at that time, that's this time period. When we came, we were stripped away from all of our heritage. We forgot who we were. We forgot where we came from. We thought that we were Africans. We thought we were Egyptians. We thought that we were, you know what I mean, everything under the sun other than what we truly were. We never would have known that we were God's chosen people. We never would have known that we were Israelites. We never would have known we were from the tribe of Judah. We never would have known we were from the tribe of Simeon. We never would have known we were from the tribe of Ephraim. We never would have known we were from the tribe of Manasseh you know what I mean, all these different tribes. We would have never known we were from that until we stepped into this body. And this body is what led us into figuring out who we truly are in this captivity. And in this captivity, you know what I mean, history shows alone that this was captivity. This is captivity. And we're still being killed and we're still being captive today. You know what I mean? And God's chosen people, we're still out here suffering, but at a time, like the Lord's saying, you know what I mean, it's going to be a time period where you don't know who you are, and the Lord is going to come and he's going to show you who you are. So it says, neither shall that be done anymore. At that time, they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it. So like, yeah, I think I skipped something. So like, yeah, I skipped something. Neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it. So, you know what I mean? As we're not in Jerusalem right now, as we're not in Israel right now, our chosen land, that's the same thing as what the Most High is prophesying right now. Okay, so neither shall that be done anymore. At that time, they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord, and the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of the Lord, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk anymore after the imagination of their evil heart. So neither shall we walk in the imagination of our evil heart is us following the ways of Christianity, us following the ways of Islam, us following the ways of, you know what I mean, wanting to sleep with every man's wife, or you know what I mean, us wanting to sell drugs and do drugs. All these things, all these well, most I would say the majority of the imagination is the idolatries that we follow. The idolatries, the evil idolatries that we follow are in our imagination. These fake gods that we put in our head that, oh yeah, regardless of whatever I do, I'm going to be forgiven. You know what I mean? Those things will never come to pass once we get back to our homeland. Once we get our salvation and get back to our homeland, we won't have to fight those things no more, because we're gonna know exactly who our God is. We're gonna know exactly how to serve our God. We're gonna be born into it. We're gonna be raised into it. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have our King with us, keeping us in check, keeping the organization running. You know what I'm saying? As far as following these laws, these statutes and commandments, serving these high holy days. You know what I'm saying? All these things. None of these things that we do today, as far as killing each other, you know what I mean, doing all this wickedness will not ever come to pass while we are in our kingdom, because you know what I mean, there's only going to be two choices. Whether you do the ways of the most high or you die. Point blank, period. And that would be your choices. You know what I mean? That's our choices today, but we don't see them because we got grace. But it's going to be a time period where, you know what I mean? Nah, whether either you're going to do what the Most High wants, you're going to follow what the Most High wants us to follow, or you going to die. Point blank, period. So we won't follow those ways of our imagination. There ain't going to be no people trying to sneak molest no kids, because because it would not be no sneaking. Once you do some type of wickedness, you're going to die. Point blank, period. Okay. So the imagination of their evil heart. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel. So we'll be together again. I mean, right now, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are separate as hell. You know what I mean? We don't see each other as are like the same people. We see each other as separate. You know what I mean? I got a lot of family members. I asked them, you know what I mean, I'm from the tribe of Judah. You know what I'm saying? I asked them about the tribe of Issachar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my kids are half Issachar. You know what I mean? Well, I can't say half Issachar. My kids are Judah, but my kids' mothers are Issachar. But you know what I mean? It's a separation there. Like, we can't come together as a family and just enjoy each other's company. Like, it's there's a big separation. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, Judah and the 10 tribes, they're separated. You know what I mean? We don't see each other as the same people, even though we are. We're all God's chosen people. So it says, in those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north, out of the land of the north, which is North America, to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. The Lord's going to get us out of this captivity in North America. You know what I mean? All the way down from Guatemala to Mexico, you know what I mean, even up to Canada. Like, you know what I mean, in these areas, not just here though. You know what I mean? Because we're scattered amongst the whole world. You know what I mean? We're scattered, but majority of us are out here because we went through the time periods of captivity. You know what I mean? So, and it says, let me go back again. And it says, out of the land of the north, North America, to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. So this book is real. You know what I mean? This Bible is real. This Bible is literally giving us details of exactly what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And where it's going to happen. And so I think it's verse 19 also. Let me see. Verse 19, but I said, how shall okay, no, that's okay, we're done with that one. So that's the end. That's it with Jeremiah 3. And that is the cutoff of the Lord cutting off Judah and Israel. It's just it's an explanation of the Lord cutting off Judah and Israel, and then also the mercy that the Lord will give us one day. And one day we will be in, you know what I mean, our homeland living righteously. We will be in our homeland living wealthy. You know what I'm saying? You think that the heathens live wealthy now. Just think about how wealthy that the Most High's chosen people will live. You know what I mean? Especially the ones who stay diligent, especially the ones who endured until the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, just think about the Lord blesses, you know what I mean? The Lord blesses most definitely. But it's a test of what you have to go through in order to be able to, you know what I mean, get the blessings of the Lord. And some people are not really strong enough to be able to endure those things. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if I may too, like, I mean, that's a prophecy within itself too about the 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 spoils that, I mean, Judah and Israel will get. I mean, I know this class is just about Judah, but these are the prophecies that are promised to Judah and to the tribe of Judah, to the tribe of Israel, which is the 10 tribes. I mean, these are the prophecies that are promised to us. And if I can, like, speaking of like living wealthy, we can go to Zechariah 14 and 12. So Zechariah, let me see. Zechariah, so like Zechariah 14 and 12. And Zechariah 14 and 12 says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. You know what I mean? Being us, all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know what I mean? Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. That's going to be them. You know what I mean? Their flesh being consumed, that's going to be that lake of fire, which the Christian church tries to make it seem as if it's going to happen after death. No, that's going to happen while people are living and living merrily and eating and drinking. You know what I'm saying? People are going to enjoy themselves and they're going to enjoy their sin, enjoy their lifestyles. And the people who put their hands on the Most High, on the Most High's chosen people, they're going to be consumed. Okay? They're going to be consumed. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. They're being literally melted, pretty much. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord, from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah, okay, so here we go right here. And Judah, we're talking about God's people. You know what I mean? Not just Judah the man, but we're talking about his tribe, his lineage. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem. So we'll be taking back our homeland. You know what I mean? We'll be fighting and taking back our homeland. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about. Now, this is something that you will never hear this in a Christian church. But let me go again. And the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be, and so like it. But so okay, let me just stop right there real quick. Roundabout shall be gathered together gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. We're going to take everything back. Everything that was stolen from us, we're going to get all those things back. All those things back. You know what I mean? And this is the mercy of the Most High, being able to allow us to change our ways and to be forgiven and be able to fight back and take what is rightfully ours. Okay, that's the mercy of the Most High. You know what I mean? Because we could have just got cut off, and He could have just dealt with us as such. We could have been captives forever. We could have been making everybody else's nations wealthy forever. But the Most High, He gave us that mercy to be able to even receive this blessing, and which is getting our homeland back, being able to fight to be able to get our homeland back, even getting the opportunity of getting our homeland back, taking their riches, taking everything that they took from us, and at an abundance. Okay, but we're gonna keep going. It's on verse 15. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and of the ass, and and all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. So you know, what I mean, if you know the Most High don't leave nothing standing. Absolutely nothing standing. When he's there to destroy something, he's there to destroy everything. Everything has to be destroyed. It ain't just the people. Everything must be destroyed. You know what I mean? That's why they say the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom, because you got to understand, like this power don't play. You know what I mean? He does not play at all. So to sit there and play with him is a death wish. You know what I mean? Not just for you, but for your loved ones and for everything around you. You know what I mean? You don't play with the Most High. You don't sit over here and just try to taunt him. You know what I'm saying? The Most High don't play no games at all. If he's destroying something, he's destroying everything, destroying everything. And and sometimes he'll wait. You know what I mean? Sometimes you won't just get judged right then and there. You'll get judged later when you least expect it. You in a whole different body. You know what I mean? The same spirit, but a whole different body. And you sitting over here living through hell and you don't even know why. You just living a terrible life. You ain't got no legs, you ain't got no arms, you can't feed yourself, you ain't got no scrotum, you can't enjoy the pleasures of having a family. Like you just living in a complete hell, and you don't even know why. But the Lord will wait for you. He'll wait till you least expect it. I mean, you gotta have fear for the Most High. The Most High, you know what I mean, he doesn't get angry so quickly. And that's scary. That should be scary to us, because he ain't going nowhere. We are, but he ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So that should be scary. That should make you want to serve him even more wholeheartedly, because I mean, he ain't going nowhere. And he remembers. He gonna remember you too. And as you living a wicked lifestyle and you doing all this and that, and you feel like you getting away with it, you should be even more scared, because that might mean that, you know what I mean, it might not happen in this life, but the next life you might come back and you would probably be nothing but a head and a torso, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And your whole life is just to sit there and watch other people live their whole lives and enjoy their whole lives, and you just sitting there in a chair. You know what I'm saying? Gotta be tended to 24 hours out the day. You know what I'm saying? You never know. That's why, I mean, the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom, because you shouldn't play with the Most High at all. Don't play no games with him. If you have an opportunity to be able to serve him wholeheartedly, I would suggest you do it. You know what I mean? I would suggest you do it, because you know what I mean, you don't want them issues. Trust me, you do not want them issues. Salakia. Let me see where I left off at. And it shall come to pass that everyone, Salakia, I think that's it. Oh, yeah, yeah. Verse 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which come against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, which is Christ, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the king of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. So wherever, regardless of whatever the situation is, these people, everyone in the world is going to have to come up year to year at a certain time period during the feast of tabernacles to come worship the Lord, and they're going to have to show their respects. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to show their respects, regardless if they like it or not. And if they don't come, then the Most High going to deal with them. You know what I mean? So you got to understand what type of God you serve. The world has to come. You know what I mean? All the heathens have to come, and they have to acknowledge. They have to acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? They have to acknowledge. And if they don't, you know what I mean? Hey, it's a plague. It's a plague. They're gonna get plagued from there. So this is what's gonna come. This is what's gonna come to pass after a while. You know what I'm saying? After we acknowledge that we have disappointed the Most High and we've served other gods, and that we are completely sorry. You know what I'm saying? And that we are completely ready to repent, ready to change, then we're going to continue to still be in these curses until Christ returns. You know what I'm saying? Until Christ returns. But that's just a little prophecy over what is going to happen with the nation of Israel and the nation of Judah. So we're talking about Judah. That's one of the prophecies. So let me get I think I got one more precept and then we can probably be done away with this one. And it's Hebrews 8 and 8. Hebrews 8 and 8. And this is the Most High bringing back Judah. So Hebrews 8 and 8, and then we can finish this. And it goes, the book of Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 8, for finding fault with them. It's like, yeah, I think I'm supposed to start a little bit up. Let's see. I'll start at 6. The book of Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 6. But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. So this is the second. The second covenant is promised to Judah and Israel. Okay, so that covenant, the first covenant, there's the first covenant, and then it's the second covenant. The second covenant is us repenting and, you know what I mean, begging the Lord for forgiveness and begging to be put back into a position of being the Lord's people, and him giving us the second covenant. Okay. And we only was able to do that through Christ. You know what I mean? Through Christ's sacrifice. Okay. So verse 8, for finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Okay. So this is us being brought back after being cut off. You know what I mean? Verse 9, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind, and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord. So the Lord is giving us an opportunity. You know what I mean? The house of Judah, the house of Israel. You see that within that scripture. It says the house of Judah and the house of Israel. It's not saying the world. It's not saying everybody in the world. You got to understand of the lineage of Jacob is the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes were the ones who were going to be in the salvation of the Most High. Okay. So within this verse, you see that it's saying that the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Who is Judah? Who is Israel? We're seeing that within this class. You know what I'm saying? We explain it within the class. We're talking about who is who on the 12 tribe chart. Now we did Judah, which is the Negroes, or I mean, the so-called African Americans. A lot of names, but you know what I mean, the Negroes in America or Negroes around the world that not the Africans. You know what I mean? Not the Hamites, you know what I mean, but the Negroes. So we see that those are the tribe of Judah. You know what I mean, us being raised out here in America, we didn't know who we were. We just thought that they just told us that we were Africans that used to be slaves back in the day. They never said anything after that. They didn't tell us what tribe. They didn't tell us what country in that continent. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't tell us nothing. They just said that we were Africans. Why? Because they wanted to mislead us. They wanted to mislead us, and honestly, they wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? They wouldn't even know. But the Bible explains all the nations that are on this earth right now, all the nationalities, all the nations that are on this earth. The Bible explains these things, and it's up for us to be able to get into these classes and learn those things, and not to be misled by fake Israelites and fake DNA tests and all that stuff like that. We can't be deceived by those things. You know what I'm saying? We have to go by what the Most High left for us. And what the Most High left for us is what our true nationality is. You know what I'm saying? And knowing who our pioneers are, and knowing where we come from. You know what I'm saying? Knowing where we come from, because this book is a cultural book. It's our culture. You know what I'm saying? This is where all that swag that we got so much comes from. Because you don't see that same swag being out there with them Hamites. You know what I'm saying? You don't see the Hamites being able to do the same things we do. You know what I'm saying, in Africa. You know what I'm saying? You don't see them being able to do the same things we do. We got a little bit more we got a lot more swag to what we do. You know what I'm saying? But all in all, you know what I mean, that's just that's what I wanted to put in as far as Judah. Judah, we went through his life and his lineage, and then we went through him Judah as a nation. You know what I mean? So, and then we went through the prophecies that Judah was to receive if we were to make it through these end of days, you know what I mean, and get mercy from the Most High. And this is what we were going to get. You know what I mean? We were going to be able to get back into our homeland, and we were going to be able to serve the Lord wholeheartedly, to the point where it won't even be an issue for us no more. We will never follow the ways of a heathen, because we'll be on top. We'll be so successful that we wouldn't want to be anything but us. We wouldn't want to be a heathen, because a heathen will never be over us. You know what I mean? Our foots are going to be on the necks of all heathens. And all heathens will have to show acknowledgement, as we've seen. You know what I mean? They're going to have to acknowledge who God's chosen people are, and not just that, who the king is, and who the true power is, who the true God is. I mean, all nations in the earth will have to acknowledge these things. And we're getting to those times. You know what I'm saying? We're getting closer to those times. So it's up for us to know who we are, where we came from, the mistakes that the people before us made, and how we correct the mistakes. You know what I mean? And correcting those mistakes is asking the Lord for forgiveness. You know what I mean? And wholeheartedly turning away from everything, all those idols that we laid with, all those idols that we worshipped, turning away from those things, turning away from that lifestyle, turning away from that ways of life. Some people try to hold on to those things. Some people try to hold on to their old characteristics that they still had in the world. You know what I mean? When you change, you're changing to a new person. So if you still doing certain things, if you still got certain characteristics, and you still doing little wicked things that you used to do in the world, then you obviously haven't changed all the way. And you need to do it before the Most High, you know what I mean, put you in a situation where you're gonna have to test whether if you're gonna really do it or not. You know what I'm saying? That's up for you to really get down or lay down, honestly. But all in all, you know what I mean, that's pretty much it with Judah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we can get another class, and we'll probably do we'll do the 10 tribes, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it is with Judah. Um and Judah being the Negroes. But the water for tuning in, and shalom. God bless you, Shabbat thumb.